now, it is time to say goodbye. And that's the way, I like it.
Okay.
Feel better?
Hi, how are you?
How are you? Welcome to my 137th episode of Breakfast Friends. Yay, 137!
Today it is.
Okay, I want to get this on official record. Is it Tamara or Tamara?
Either one's good, but it's Tamara.
What makes it a Tamara instead of a Tamara? Is it Canadian?
That's just the way it is. I think it's because it's like Russian descent. So I met this when I was, as you know, sorry, my dog is barking. I think he's, as you know, I was at Burning Man last week and randomly ran into this old Russian woman and had the same conversation I have with every old Russian woman. She was like, my friend is like, oh, this is my friend Tamara. And she's like, Tamara, which is how you pronounce it. And then I was like, yeah. And she's like, Russian. And I'm like, yes. And she's like, you speak? And then I was like, no. And then she looked at me with absolute disgust. And that was the end of our conversation.
Well, it should be noted that maybe if you're going to pronounce it Tamara, that you should speak the rest of the language. Or
well, you know, I'm just like, I'm barely fluent in English and I don't have another language to fall back on, Brett. So I'm just doing my best here.
You can pet your doggy on screen if you want. Is that what you're doing?
Right here. I'm trying to get her up. She's like, she's demanding attention.
So, and you pronounce your last name Arenovich.
Arenovich.
Ah, that's not bad. I'm pretty proud of myself for that.
Yeah, pretty good.
Tomorrow, I shouldn't do it. Try to get. We'll just keep it at that.
Hey,
so
don't feel bad, Brad. I've been calling you Brad for years. So
I don't try to correct people. I had a friend who passed away who called me Brent for everywhere. You know, even the last time I saw him alive, he was like, "Hey, Brent, you got any of that new money for some weed, Brent?" I paid him back some money for weed that I owed him. But anyways, I never correct. If you feel comfortable, call me Brad. I mean, go for it. But, I mean,
no, I gotcha.
We're gonna eventually start the show. So let's start back from. Okay, you got some. I'd like to do a past, present, future.
Okay, before we do that, let me just. Problem is, Brad, I've got like a cable here, and my dog is like cannot. So I'm just gonna walk around the camera once to try to get her to come around the other side and hopefully not bark.
Everybody at home can make a wish as you walk around. It'll be like a wish.
You better not be live, you bastard.
Wish walk.
Come. You can do it. You can do it. Come. No, you can do it this way. You really can. You really can. Come.
Come.
Okay, let's have a quick.
Oh. Yes. Breakfast with Friends, episode 137 in progress with Tamara Arenovich.
Come.
And dog.
Come this way. Come, Tiki. Okay, you can jump over that big cord. Oh, good girl. Oh, good girl.
Oh, she's a good girl.
Oh, good girl. Here she is.
Oh, she's a big baby.
She is. There we go. Sorry.
What's her name?
This is Tinka.
Also Russian.
She's 100% purebred Mexican street dog, actually.
Oh, okay.
Close.
Okay, we'll get into those factoids later. Okay, so last time I saw you, let's do a past, present. Let's do a past, present, future. About your, this is basically the whole idea of this thing is passions and creativity and stuff like that. So we'll get into the. I also want to get into the experience of Burning Man, and also your Sea Shepherd stuff. But because okay, last time I saw you, you and Claude dropped me off at Gerlach.
Yeah, man, we were on the road to nowhere. That was
not the best situation for me.
It was a sad moment.
Well, the amount of work that I'd put into getting there alone, besides cleaning that vehicle and getting him that vehicle, I don't know. Claude's never gonna watch this. So doesn't give a shit. At this point, he's gone feral.
10-4. Rubber duck, come on in. Got a big 10-4. You hear me out there? Rubber duck, come on.
He's still. I've talked to him. He's still in the RV running around somewhere. But yeah, I've come to terms with it. I spent more money to not be at Burning Man than I did to be there. I spent $1,200 to not be at Burning Man. So we're gonna not do that again. Because that
Next year was better anyways. Don't worry about it.
No, I like that. I like that idea, that positive, but I can't believe I spent $1,200 not to be at Burning Man. So what happened after I left?
So there never really was a plan, as you know. You were in that cloud of chaos just as I was, but kind of felt like if we just keep moving in that direction, either all the stars will align or they won't. Either way, you know how these things go, right? So yeah, so we kept heading in that direction. We've got a ticket, the one that I got in Toronto that I traded for a bag of tomatoes, as you know. And then
You never told me the story that you had a tomato. You traded a bag of tomatoes for Burning Man
it
tickets.
was a fair trade, Brett. I mean, like they were like organic, non-GMO tomatoes that I grew from seeds. So
Were there $700 worth of tomatoes?
well, they were worth it. They were worth it.
No, I'm sure they were.
Yeah. But we were still short a ticket, and so we continued on the road. We got there. This is like Tuesday at this point, right? Like Burning Man started on Sunday. We were hoping we'd avoid the queues, like to get in.
You guys dropped me off a girl like on Tuesday. And when you guys, what happened when I left? Like drove in and
we were sad. We were sad. And then because we missed you.
Good.
And then no fun is allowed at Burning Man anyways, don't worry.
No.
So yeah, no, so we just kept heading. We got there. We made it to, like, you know, when you turn off the road and you're on the dirt, and there weren't a whole lot of cars. So it's like, this is looking good. This is looking good. Turn on the BMIR. And yeah, they said that the time to gate was 2 hours. So we were like, oh shit, okay. So there's still a little bit of a queue. There are actually a lot of people coming in late. And so we did have a bit of a queue, and we still did not have a ticket. We were trying. As you know, we were trying.
That was the first mistake. That was the first mistake I made.
Yeah.
And I was addressing this problem before it ever happened, because the one thing when we were up at the ranch and I was arguing with Claude in front of the thing. I'm just giving you the behind the scenes perspective, just because I really had to break this apart in my brain. As I was arguing with Claude about not having tickets yet. And I kept on having these little ticket moments happen where we could possibly get tickets. We didn't take them because Claude thought we'd get them cheaper.
Yeah.
That was, so anybody go there going to Burning Man, the one thing is, do not go without tickets. It does
make your journey a lot easier if you have tickets.
That was our first mistake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely in hindsight. I mean, to be fair, first of all, Claude is Claude, and we love them both, and this is how it goes.
I'm not trying to bring shade. I'm just trying to be an
No, totally. I get it. And the other thing
there's certain things that could have been avoided. And
to his credit, like in the days leading up to that, like it was raining tickets. It's really true. They were everywhere. Like even freaking like StubHub and stuff had them for like $100. They were like, didn't think it would become a problem, but as the date got, moved on, it just, I don't know, they all evaporated. Maybe people were burning them on the fly. I don't know, but like, it was nothing but scammers, right? And we know, we really tried, like we really freaking tried that day in Reno, right? Like, can't say you didn't try. Like
the second thing what should have happened is if I have notations of people that are experiencing stuff like this, because I'm sure there's our friend who we're trying to buy tickets from, who was with his girlfriend in the parking lot, and they're not negotiable or they're not transferable. There are lots of situations like that happening. But the what was it? The going in without tickets. If we would have just what there's a specific detail. What were you saying? Maybe I'll remember it. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. This is your interview.
Well, that's okay. It's our interview. We're having a conversation. I'm having a conversation with my friend Brett. I don't know what I was saying. Don't go in without tickets. Did you want me to keep telling the story?
Yes.
Maybe? Okay. So we're still down a ticket, and we were trying. We were trying that whole day in Reno. Like, I was with you. We were trying, and it just was whatever. Like,
we should. I just want to put it in real quick. If we hadn't gotten that car, that was the fatal blow.
Yeah.
Because then I didn't have a choice. I had to leave. So if we would have just not rented that car, I think I might have been able to hang out with you guys. But it all works out in hindsight 2020. I had
You know what? But you went off and had an epic adventure. I was for
epic.
like 2 seconds before this episode. I was like watching your earlier episode, and you met some cool characters and got some
Oh,
inspiration for all the art that you do. So things work out the way they're meant to. And
I agree.
next year was better anyway. So we'll see
Yes,
that.
next year was better. We'll put it. Next year was better.
Yeah,
We'll put a big old nomenclature on here.
totally. So anyway, so we continued on, got to the dirt part, and then we were in the queue for a bit, and we're still down a ticket. We're still trying, like online, all the things trying, and it's just not happening. But the rumors, and they're pretty founded rumors at this point, was that like it didn't sell out. Like crazy that Burning Man didn't sell out, because those sales usually sell out in like a minute, right? But didn't sell out this year, so they were actually selling tickets at will call for full price. I mean, the whole reason we're in the scenario is because we're all cheap and broke and like trying to save a few dollars and trying to get them cheaper, right? But they had them full price at the gate, so we're like, okay, worst case scenario, we'll try. And so we're in the queue, and then they get to the point where they're like, what's going on with your ticket situation? We're like, we still need a ticket. They're like, okay, you got to go to will call, you got to go that way. So we go that way, park the Winnie, and then like walk over to will call. And I have a ticket, I have a physical ticket. I'm quite confident with my ticket because I've never been fortunate enough to actually buy a ticket through like standard operating procedures for Burning Man. Like I fucking like, oops, can we swear on this thing?
You
Sorry.
can swear as much as you fucking want, but it's very hard to fucking trade tomatoes through the fucking internet when you fucking need a ticket.
Fact, but like, so anyways, but I like past years, even when I've tried, it's like I'm usually out in a boat somewhere and like not in the country, and it's always been difficult. I try to go through the official sales, I never get through, I never able to buy a ticket, right? So I've always had to kind of find alternative solutions, and it's always worked. So anyways, this year I found this lovely guy in Toronto who had bought a ticket through the sale and couldn't go. And so he had been trying to sell his ticket, and there just wasn't a market for it yet. That came later, that came when we were trying. So he cut it down, he cut the price way down. And I looked at this is like on Facebook, and I'm looking at him. We have mutual friends. He's like a legit seeming person. So it's like, okay, I'll go meet this dude. And I met him, and he's super lovely. So we had a really nice conversation. He's like an authentic person, had a real story, So I got the ticket, but I'm also like very confident that he's not going to scam me, right? And I said to him, because with the physical ticket, I was like, are you comfortable, before I bought it? Because I did throw him a bit of money too. The tomatoes were part of it, but like, let's be honest here. But
I'll believe anything you say. I thought you literally just traded tomatoes. That's how fucking gullible I am.
No. I like that story because it's just so Burning Man. But I said to him before we exchanged the ticket, like, are you comfortable like sending me a copy of the ticket number, because like there's scams out there and people like tickets get canceled and whatever. So he sent me that, had a photo of my ticket number, and I checked it against like the bad tickets. It's good. So I'm like very confident that my ticket is good, right?
Yeah.
We still need a vehicle pass, we still need a ticket. We get to will call, and like we're gonna go get a ticket and a vehicle pass, and then there's these dudes who are like, there's like a little like queue to get to like to will call, and at the front there's a bunch of dudes in like, I don't know, like angel wings and tutus or something. We're at Burning Man now, and they're like, oh, do you need a ticket? And it's like, yeah. And they're like, well, you need to talk to us because we're selling a ticket. And it's like, okay. And they're like $400, and it's like, okay, at this point, okay, right? And so, but it's like, well, there's also scammers, as you know, everywhere. So I'm like, we're literally right at will call, so we'll buy your ticket. And they were weird, but like not like my like it was a weird, like it was the kind that sets my prickles off, right? Like not all good vibes. So it's like, okay, we're at will call, like we'll buy your ticket, but we're just going to go up to will call, and we're going to check your ticket number. We'll check my ticket number too, make sure they're not like, these are not bad tickets, right? But they can do it because at this point we have no internet, right? We're fucked. So it's like, you just got to deal with what's here. But will call has internet. So go there, and the girl, like, I give her we get a vehicle pass, and I get my ticket, and the other dude, like Fairy Wings dude, is there, and like, so he's got his ticket, and we're like, can you check these. And the girl was like, these are all volunteers, they're just burners helping out, right? She didn't really know what she was doing, and she's checking it, and she's like, these tickets are not good. And it's like, fuck me. Like, I know I don't know, but I kind of know in here that my ticket's good. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like, anyway, so she got somebody to help, and she checked, and she was like, no, both these tickets are fine. They're fine. So I'm like, don't mix them up, because she's kind of putting them together. And I'm like,
I
one of them's
know.
you're not mixing up my tickets. So anyways, so we get our tickets back. Like, she hands me mine and the vehicle pass, and then the other guy his. And I'm not kidding you. The second she does this, he turns around. Like, this is less than 10 seconds. He turns around and sells his ticket to somebody else. And it's like, the fuck, dude? Because now he knows it's good, right? And like, and he's like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. I know another guy. He's got a ticket. It's fine. It's cool. It's cool. And I'm like, it's kind of not cool. And then he's getting all in my face, right? And I'm like, we know each other.
Where was Claude during this?
The clothes right there, right? But I kind of like, this is what happened. Like, I'm a very mellow person for the most part. Like, I'm really not an aggressive person, but I do have a very fierce mama bear instinct. People that have been on the ships with me can tell you this. Like, I fucking protect the people I love, right? And so these guys are kind of like giving me not good vibes at this point. And so he's like, well, I sold it to that guy because of you. I don't like your attitude. You're treating us like criminals. How do I know that you're not the criminal? And I said, I never said I'm not a fucking criminal. I said,
Wow,
I'm not
this sucks.
today. And it's
That
like,
sucks.
ugh.
You're having,
I'm like,
you're having an altercation at the fucking thing
dude,
about being.
but I don't give a fuck. I don't
vibes.
need you to like me, but you're not going to scam us. Like, we didn't come this far on this ridiculous journey, like, to get scammed, like, right now. This is not going to happen on my watch, right? So anyway, so he's like, oh, but there's this other guy, da, da, da. So then there's another guy, right? And the other guy's got a ticket. So we're like, let's go back to will call and check this ticket. So we got to check this ticket, and it's valid. It's perfect, like, hard copy ticket. It's valid. I've got the other ticket. I'm like, Claude, give me the vehicle pass. So I've got those two. I've got them, right? And next thing I know, like, they're like, okay, I'll sell it to you for $100. Okay, it's valid, whatever. And then the next thing I know, they're like walking off into the shadows. Like, they're just like walking off into the deck. I'm like, the fuck are you guys going? Like, what's going on here? Like, oh, we're gonna get jumped or whatever. And like, they're not getting my
Who's
tickets.
walking off into the shadow?
Going off with these dudes, right? And I'm like, where are you going? And he's like, oh, we're gonna go to the Winnie. And I'm like, why are you going to the Winnie with these strange men like that we just met? I'm like, just not like, I'm not really, it's not really sitting right with me. So TMI, but like, ticket and the vehicle pass that we had, I like, they're deep in my underwear at this point, Brett, because I'm like, these guys are not gonna fucking take my ticket. I'll die fighting for this ticket. So I'm like, where you go? And they're like, oh, we're going to exchange the ticket and stuff. And they're like, we need to get money. And I'm like, I have money. Like, fine, you know, like, here, let's do this exchange right here, you know? So give them the money, and he gives Claude the ticket, and then they disappear. They're instantly in their RVs and they're gone, right? Took a blurry photo of their license plate. So I'm like, this is just not, something's wrong. And he looks at the ticket, and it's not the same ticket. This one is like, the other one was a perfect, crisp ticket. This one is like all bended and gnarled. Like, it's
So they showed you a ticket, then they traded that ticket for a
bait and switch,
ticket.
man, bait and switch. So it's like, well, fuck. And they're gone. And it's like, okay, well, we got to go check this ticket now. So anyway, so Claude went back to will call, checking tickets again for us, because they got internet and we don't. And, you know, the gods were shining down upon us because the ticket was valid. And so we got our ticket, we got our vehicle pass, we're
fine. You got a ticket for $400?
Yeah.
And I had $450 when you guys left me at the Gerlach.
Dude, I don't know what to tell you. You asked me what happened.
Okay, I'm just cross-examination. Okay, it's all good.
Oh man, I want a lawyer.
No, there's no need for a lawyer. It's just anyways.
Well, you asked me what happened. That's what happened.
I want the truth, so that's good. That's good. Because I'm a truthful person. I want to know what happened with you guys over there. But I knew I had $450, and I was like, let me do this, and I wasn't able to do that. It's a little frustrating.
Well, we didn't know what was going to happen. Like, we didn't know what was going to happen at will call, if there would be tickets for sale.
No, I get all that. There's a lot of not knowing of things and stuff like that. And this is relatable to other people that didn't make it. I'm sure if anybody, the one out of a million people that watched this might have tried to go to Burning Man, might relate to this story. But yeah,
There was a lot of scammers afoot there too, and a lot of stories because, like, in the process of trying to get us tickets, you included, it was like became members of all these groups and people trying and people getting ripped off and like all kinds of stories. It was really shit. It was really shit. So
have you ever experienced something like that going to Burning Man? Like, is it usually
yeah,
that?
there's always scammers for sure, for sure. Like, so now they do like if you're buying a ticket off someone and it's at like and it's not a physical ticket, like if it's a physical ticket, there's nothing you can do. You
Yeah.
meet the person, you exchange, good faith. If it's a will call ticket, like now they can transfer it through like properly through the Burning Man website and stuff. But before that, like years before that, as you probably know, like that didn't exist, and you'd be like buying shit off Craigslist, and it's like, you know, like you are
I
like
haven't tried to go
so
to
the reason
Burning
I
Man.
kind of stepped up there was because I think, and you know, touch wood, but I think I've got a pretty I have experience with this. Like I have experience navigating the scammers and like, you know, like I think I'm pretty good at avoiding these scams because they've always been there. You know, it's money and people do shit things for money, right? So it's like just trying to avoid the scams. So I thought I was pretty good at it. It worked out this time, sort of, although we were down one Brett Woods and that was very sad. But you're both okay
Yeah,
with us, and you know, we put
yeah.
on.
I'm gonna do things differently next time. I'm gonna do things differently. I think it's just the amount of work that I put out, and that's up to my own detriment and stuff like that. And that's stuff that people will never see.
Darling, let it go. Let it go.
No, I let it go. I get, but I just want to make sure I don't do that again. You know, because like what those sequences of events that led up to that, which I'm not trying to unload. It's just I see things very visually and up to stories and stuff like that. Is the one thing I said that well, I was telling Claude at the ranch, in Joseph, that I just don't want to wind up being dropped off in the middle of nowhere, and that's exactly what happened. And I was like, I could see that coming, like as each bad decision was being made. I
The
could
truth
see
be
that
told, though,
coming to
every single one of us involved in this ridiculous story knew that that was a possible outcome for all of us. I knew that too. Like last fucking thing I expected was for you guys to actually be in Reno when I arrived. Like I would have bet money against that, but you know, it actually worked. So yeah, we didn't
next
really
time.
plan this whole thing
I think
very well,
next
did
time I
we?
drive separately.
Okay. Yeah,
I think
a little bit of
that might be
independence
the
is a
way
good
it
thing.
works.
Radical self-reliance, it's a good thing. Yeah.
I think that might be the key for especially traveling with Claude, because you never know quite what's going to happen with Claude.
Well,
Uh,
that's true. But that's why we love them.
yeah,
And darling, don't
these are
ruminate
all
because
attributes. These are
you know,
attributes, not
yeah,
negatives.
yeah.
These are this is what it is. So let's talk about. So how was your? We'll wrap it up on the Burning Man thing, but like, how was it in comparison to your past events? I saw that you said best Burning Man yet. How did you meet people? Can you give us an encapsulation of your experience?
It was amazing. I mean, I don't know that I can because if you haven't been to Burning Man, I've said this to others that I'm trying to encourage to come, that it's like there's no way of it's everything everywhere. Choose your own adventure, madness, insanity. It's impossible. I lack the vocabulary to describe what it is. You just have to fucking go, right? But they're all different. Like if you go back a few times, it's you know, they say you don't get the burn you want, you get the burn you need, right?
Yeah.
And so it is what it is. For me, this one was it was extra special. This was a dirty burn, Brett. Let's be honest, because it's like we had no fuck. We didn't have tickets. Like it was like felt a little bit guilty because it's like you know we're camping with our friends. They've gone in early. They've got installations. They've got everything set up. We're rolling in late and like barely fucking alive. You know, like it's like feel like that wasn't really, you know, it's not the way I like to be. I like to be more community oriented, but it's the only way it could happen. But but honestly, this burn wasn't really in the cards for me. It's been a really hard year. I didn't expect to be there. I didn't expect us to pull this off last minute. I honestly didn't expect it. I'll tell you that. I thought I did, but when after we dropped you off, after that like bullshit at will call, and when we actually got through and and we're actually in Burning Man, like I couldn't believe it. Like I guess a part of me didn't actually think we'd make it. Like maybe a big part of me, because I was like, holy fuck, we're here. Like I know that was the plan, but I didn't actually think the plan would work, you know?
Yeah.
So I was acutely aware of the fact that like I, I didn't expect to be here. And so for me, every second there was a gift, and it was
Yeah.
1 second that I didn't expect to have. And the other thing was like, because it was so chaotic and like all my shit is in LA and I was in Toronto and met you guys in Reno, I didn't have anything. Like I burned the way I burned at this point, and it's like I didn't have like my usual gear that I like to have, like, and so it just felt really like naked out there, like, and not in a bad way, like really raw and vulnerable, and just like I have nothing left to hide behind. Like it's not even a fucking costume, you know what I mean? And so I was just authentically, it's just me, and it's a burn, and I was met with nothing but like love and acceptance and generosity, and it was just like like it was profound. It's gonna make me cry, and I'm not gonna cry on Brett's
Right.
but yeah, it was just really beautiful. Like for me, it's like there's no wrong way to burn, but what's particularly special to me is this time with friends and the art and community, and I got all of that in spades. So it was like, yeah, you get the burn you need, but honestly, I also got the burn I wanted this year, and it was great.
Nice. And I felt like I've been hearing sort of like things that was more personal burn this year, like because it wasn't as crowded as it usually
Way less people, yeah, for sure.
felt more personal or like more, I guess, intimate.
I guess so. I mean, yeah, it was just like you can't possibly see it all anyways, but like even on a like quieter year like this, but you could definitely notice that there was a lot less space, which was also kind of fun because our camp was camped where we were supposed to be, but there was like open space around. And so the people that are like, solo campers who are usually delegated way out to J Street, they could move in and take these spaces. So you meet these gnarly ass weird creatures like just that are camping sort of beside you. And I got a new playa name out of it too.
Yeah. What was that? Are you not allowed to
So,
play it?
so I was like, so we were like, it's like porta potties at Burning Man, right? And I needed to go pee. And we were like close, but not super close to the portos, which is perfect because you don't want to smell them. But it was
No.
just like 2-minute walk or something to get there. So I was going to pee one day, and I like there was this shortcut because there was open space. Like nobody's got time for corners anymore. This is Burning Man. Ain't got time for this bullshit. So instead of going up and around, I just like cut through the open space.
Mhm.
And that's where like all these characters were just kind of like moving in. There was this couple, I swear, I have no idea who they were. They were talking to me all week, and they were like, "Oh, hey, Tamara." And the worst thing was they knew my name and they knew everything about me. But every time I met them, I'm like, I've never seen you before in my life. And it's like, by Thursday or Friday, it's like you have to commit to this con because it's like can't ask you what's your name at this point. But anyway, so I meet these people and like all these strange creatures that are like on my shortcut to the portos. I need to pee. And the lovely couple that I don't know are like, "Hey, Tamara, how are you? How was last night? What did you think of da da da?" And I'm like, no idea who you are. But they're like, "Would you like a popsicle?" And I was like, "I'd love a fucking popsicle, but I'm
Bingo,
going to
bingo.
be right now. So can we do this later?" And then there was this other dude came by and he's like, "Do you want to go meet my cat?" And I'm like, "Well, of course I want to go meet your cat." It wasn't a real cat. That's a spoiler. But so then I go off with this dude. Then I come back and they're like, "Would you like a popsicle?" And I'm like, "I still have to pee, right? I have to go to the Portos." And so long story short, my new playa name became Porto Popsicle,
Ah.
which doesn't really I find that when I tell people that, yeah, they look like you, they look a little bit troubled, they're imagining the series of events that led to this, me being gifted this name. So I've shortened it to Poppy, which I actually really love. And
Poppy's
so
nice. The pop,
yeah,
portable pops.
Porto Popsicle
It sounds like a scat film.
sounds like a lot of things, and
Yeah.
yeah, so
YouTube
that's why I
would go
shortened
for
it to Poppy, but I like it.
it. Okay. Did you see? Were you able to stay for the burn of the man? Or did
No,
you?
no, I had a dog sitter for my pupper, and she had to leave Sunday at noon, like
Yeah.
East Coast time, so had to be home by then. And if you get caught in Exodus, you're fucked, right? So yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure this out. This seems like every day I was like, this seems like a tomorrow problem. Like I just don't want to really stress. I didn't have a flight. I didn't really have a way out. Like kind of like the same shit as our way in, right? But I'm like, I'll deal with that tomorrow because I'm having too much fun. And so eventually it was like, okay, I should just book a flight. So I pushed it to like the latest I possibly could, which was like a 5:30 a.m. Sunday flight. And I'm like, okay, that'll get me home like 4 p.m. Toronto time, which is like
Yeah.
you can be home, like it'll be fine, But but that was the latest flight I could book because I'm like, I don't actually know when I'm leaving, how I'm leaving, what's going to happen along the way. So I need to
Were you
like,
able to drag all your stuff back into the with the bus? The what was a burner bus called?
well, this is one of those other, if you're making a checklist there of things to consider when going to Burning Man, check one, check two, buy tickets to the Burner Express if that's like actually your plan. It's not a bad plan.
No.
But of course, we did neither of these things. So the Burner Express was totally sold out, like weeks in advance, right? Like weeks in advance, completely. Even the planes, I have no idea. Like I was like, I can't afford a plane, but even those were sold out. I'm like, well, I'm fucked. So, anyways, I was like, okay, I'm gonna leave on Friday because that'll give me. I should be able to find like my way to Reno by Sunday, I think. But then on Friday, I was having so much fun. I was like, nah, I'm gonna make this a Saturday problem. So then on Saturday, I was having a lot of fun. And then I was like, I gotta go because they're gonna torch the man too. Then like as soon as that starts, you're in Exodus and I'm fucked, right?
Yeah.
So it was like I don't know, like almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. And that was like the Burner Express was leaving. It was the last one of the day, but it's fully booked. I have no idea where it leaves from. And but maybe we'll try, right? And so anyways, my friend Jack, he drove me there because it turns out it's far. It's like almost by the gate. And I'm like, I really got to go one way or the other, but this is my last chance to try this. And if this doesn't work, then I have to just put like, I just got to hitch a ride, right? Like just get a sign on the side of the
Yeah.
road. And
That's sort of what I was picturing at first. Where I was like, okay, how is
that
Tamara
was kind of the plan.
gonna get back over to Reno? Because
Details.
the miss of in theory, I could see how the car rental thing was in theory an idea that might have been able to work, but impossible to leave a car at Burning Man without getting it towed. So that was sort of like, because
Tried.
that would have been nice for you to take the car to Reno. That would have been beautiful, right?
Yeah, or if Joe hadn't bailed at the last minute, because Joe is going to come too, right? He's also a character in this story,
Yeah.
and then it just didn't work out for him because he
Oh,
also wanted
Joe. Oh yeah, curly hair Joe.
I don't know.
Did he not make it?
No. Because
Did you run into a lot of people that you knew that you saw last time you were at Burning Man?
yeah, of course. And like friends I know from all around the world, I actually managed to connect. Don't connect with everybody I tried to, but yeah, I had a lot of really cool interactions with people. It was fun.
Can you
So
tell?
anyway, so we get to the Burner Express and it's fully booked and it's like, the last one leaves at 4 and it's like 3:58. And so Jack drops me off and there's like pile of disheveled, dusty people like, in the despair line and they're like, get in that line. You got no ticket, get in that line. And I was like, Jack, can you just like wait for like 2 minutes? It's gonna be 2 minutes. And so he just waited in the car and then the guys like they're like loading up the bus and everything and then there's like probably about maybe 12 of us or something that are just like desperate. Everybody's got a story. I'd love to know everybody's story, like how you end up here right now. But yeah, so anyway, so the guy's like, okay, blah blah blah, rules, blah blah blah, and he's got this laminated sign that says last in line and he hands it to me and he's like, when you get to the window, give them this. You and everybody in front of you is getting on this bus. And I was just like, holy fuck, man. So I got on the sold out Burner Express to Reno.
Was that a party ride back there, or was everybody
No,
tired?
it was hot as fuck. Like the seats are covered in plastic and they don't turn the AC on because if you turn on the AC when you're out there, it's gonna just like mess up the vents and stuff, right? So it wasn't until you're on the road that this dude started with the AC and everybody was just, I don't know, it was not a party bus. Like nobody was really, I don't know what was going on with everybody's story, but it was fine. So yeah, I just had the one small bag with me and like made it to Reno, and yeah, the rest is history. So it worked out. Always works out the way it's meant to,
Yeah, I think
So I didn't see the man burn, and I'm good with that. I'm happy with not seeing the man burn this year. Like that actually makes me happy. People have been sending me video of the man burning, and I'm like, actually didn't want to see him burn this year. There was something very cathartic to me being up in the deep playa, like seeing the man. And he's always the same, right? Like the shit around him is always different, but the man always looks basically the same. And
I
I don't know. I
man
thought
was
they're
getting
biking.
smaller. Is that true or not? The man is
It
getting
looked about the
smaller,
same
the
as
base is getting
past
bigger and
years.
bigger.
Like the base was kind of spread out. There were these staircases to nowhere, and underneath there were these little rooms that had different art pieces. And a dear friend of mine was one of the artists who was actually chosen to have her installation inside the man. So that was pretty amazing to see her work there and have a moment with her after. But yeah, I don't know. There was something about see, I'm like, you motherfucker, I watched you get burned to the ground, and here you are. Here we are, man. Here we are again. And it's good to be back, you know? So there was something kind of, me and the man have a complex relationship, but I was happy to leave him standing this year. I was happy to leave him standing.
Good. Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I had on a personal note for me, the reason why I was able to emotionally sort of like kind of walk this off, and I'm always kind of like not always, but I'm kind of self-examination of what happened and where it could go better and stuff like that. But like I had like 3.5 weeks at a ranch prior to this, where we're is basically like Burning Man already. So I think that was my solstice or
Totally.
my companion piece. I didn't want to spend
Even
$1,200 per.
pagan.
I didn't think I was going to be spending $1,200 on just to drive a vehicle to Burning Man and go back home. But the fact that I had 3.5 weeks of something that was very um, intellectually and creatively stimulating for that period of time and productive, I it was easier for me to walk away. But it definitely was like, it's like you get just like what you said, you get the Burning Man you need, or you don't get the Burning Man you want, you get the Burning Man you need. So that's how I'm taking it too. But I definitely I'm happy with the prior experience and now knowing it's a learning thing. We're all learning, right? We're trying to learn. If you're not learning, then what are
Totally.
you doing? Okay, so we'll wrap that up. Congratulations on getting there and back. So let's talk about your Sea Shepherd experience with the people. How did you get involved? Where are they at now? We'll start there and see people who are interested in the Sea Shepherd material or information, what that whole experience is like.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, just to be completely clear, I'm not with Sea Shepherd anymore. And so I'm not with the organization and I'm not speaking for them.
Okay.
But yeah, I spent like, gosh, I don't know, probably about 8 years on this wild journey that took me all around the world doing some pretty intense, crazy things. And I regret nothing. It was an incredible experience, absolutely incredible. Um, how did I get involved in it? Well, I'm a diver and I have this lifelong like love for the oceans. So there's that. But other than that, I think like most things in at least my life, I just kind of stumbled blindly into it. Um, I was working like a very normal job a long time ago. I was working in a mental health facility and doing research, and I was doing that for a long time, like 15 years. And burned out of that. Long story short, I burned out of that and I was like, fuck this. I'm done with this. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. Life is short. And I had this career coach and she's like, we'll get you another job. And I'm like, you don't understand. I don't want another job. I'm done. And she's like, well, she's exasperated with me. And she's like, what are you going to do with your life? And I'm like, I'm going to like become a dive instructor. And she's like, you went to have a master's degree. You've been in school for so long. You can't. I'm like, yeah, I can. Why not? Why
Yeah.
not? So that's what I did. And I moved to Honduras for a bit to get all of my credentials in place. And while I was there, by day I was training, like doing all my diving. And by night I was like working with a local band of Hondurans who were like patrolling local beaches to protect the nesting grounds for these critically endangered hawksbill turtles. And like they're critically endangered. This is a species we're going to lose in our lifetime, Brett. And so it's like, fuck, man, every egg matters. And so I was working with these guys. It was a wild story. They speak no Spanish or no English. I speak no Spanish. We'd be like out all night in the jungle looking for these turtles and whatever. Best freaking time. And the most amazing skies you've ever seen, like, because there's no light pollution. Oh man, what a trip. Just like stargazing all night. It was incredible. But anyways, while I was there, after I was doing that for a few weeks, Sea Shepherd rolled into town and it was like, ah, cool. I know of them through the divers and stuff, so maybe I'll try to volunteer with them since I'm doing this anyways.
Yeah.
And so I did, I sent in an application. They were like, hey, that's cool. We don't need you in Honduras, but we really need you in Costa Rica. Will you go? And I was like, yeah, whatever. So like I
Can I ask
left
you a
all of
quick,
my,
a real quick, do they fly you or ship you over there, or are you just all on your own money and time with this?
depends on the campaign, but largely on my own, largely on my own. Something like Japan, for example, like flights, I paid for it, accommodations, I paid for it, food, I paid for it, literally everything. So yeah, I mean, you got to have a little bit that, and that's a frustration I have with volunteerism is it is kind of a little bit,
You
you
got
know,
to
not everybody has that equal opportunity, and it's an opportunity that everybody should have because it really is life changing, right? Um, but anyways, I made it to Costa Rica and was there for a bit doing more sea turtle shit, and didn't go well. Didn't go well at all, Brett. Did not go well. And
Why?
so
In what sense of the word? Can you be specific?
well, so these beaches, I mean, Costa Rica is like, it's a beautiful country. Everybody knows it's like environmentally like a leader and amazing, lush tropical forests, fresh fruit, blah, blah, blah. And that's all true, but it's also a lot of, there is a bit of greenwashing involved. There's a dirty underbelly.
Can you
Um,
okay, explain that, please?
well, not the very least is like these beaches, again, the turtles, these turtles are, I'm not sure if turtles are smart or not, but after a long contemplation on this subject, I've concluded they're not smart. They've got great PR. Like people think turtles are wise, but trust me, I've seen turtles do some really stupid shit, like really stupid shit. But I digress.
Give me an
Turtles.
example. Give me an example of what a turtle does for
Oh,
the stupid.
okay. So, like for example, this sea turtle was coming to shore in Costa Rica, and these are animals that it's like they don't really have parents, right? Like the turtles, the female turtles will come to shore. They've got this amazing knowledge somehow of where they were born, and they come to shore, they lay their eggs on the same beach where they hatched 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. They've never been there since, like, because they're out at sea their whole lives, but they somehow know, they got this GPS system, and they lay their eggs and then they forget about them and they fuck off back into the ocean, and now those eggs are on their own, right? So they have to first of all incubate, and if she lays them too close to the water, they're going to get, the tide will come in and they'll get washed into the sea. If it's too far, the hatchlings will never make the journey and they'll die along the way because of course, like crabs, dogs, like all kinds of predators want to eat these eggs,
Anything.
birds, and in Costa Rica, one of the problems they have is poachers. So like humans also will dig up these eggs and they'll sell them because it's, there's a lot of tourism in Costa Rica and a lot of bars, a lot of nightlife, and there's a lot of naive tourists who will go wanting to have an exotic experience, and they'll be like, hey, you can go to a bar, get a shot of tequila or whatever with a turtle egg in it for $5. It's an aphrodisiac or whatever bullshit they say. But in fact, that's a critically endangered animal
So
that
they
has
really are
died.
serving endangered species at a bar, and they can legally drink that endangered species.
Yes, because there is one beach in Costa Rica where it's not poaching, where you're legally allowed to take the eggs. And so if anybody gets caught with these eggs, whether they were acquired at this beach legally or not, they just say it's from that beach. And so then, it's kind of like a loophole. There's a lot of problems. So there's that issue, but also the other issue is these beaches that we patrolled by day, they're like a tourist paradise, surfing, like playing on the beach. You could walk for miles. They're stunning, but everybody knows you don't go on the beaches at night. You don't go on the beaches at night, right? It's a
Yeah.
different story. It's not safe, and the reason is because it's narco territory, and you don't go on the beaches at night. But the turtles, see, they come to shore at night, and so us, we're patrolling the beaches exclusively at night, and the cops are like, "You're going to die, so we have to come with you." And so we'd have police patrol, like supporting us on some of these patrols. So now we've got a police presence in a place where a police presence isn't appreciated because there's other things going on, and it is what it is. But basically, we were informed by the government that if we don't leave, we're going to get deported. And so we all had to leave. So that campaign got shut down real quick. Draw whatever conclusions you want there. And, and they were like, oh,
Was it the support that because they didn't have the time or the support to dispatch cops or to help you to protect you? Is that why they wanted you out of there? Is because they wanted to
I
be?
don't know that was necessarily the case. I mean, I'd be speculating at this point. It might just be a don't ask, don't tell kind of situation, and we're drawing attention. This is true with a lot. I mean, the narcos don't, this is true everywhere. They don't really give a shit about the eggs. That's not their business. They have their own business, and we're not really involved with what they're doing. But like, it's sort of bringing a spotlight to a place
Do
that
that
kind
area.
of thrives in the shadows. So yeah, anyways, that got shut down, and they were like, "Hey, you want to go on a boat now?" And I was like, "Nah,
I
I'll
have
go
some,
to
oh, wait,
Japan."
hold on.
So
I
I
have
just
got,
kind of like stumbled from one to the next, and I did this for like 8 years.
I
Yeah.
have it. We gotta be specific about. You're giving me so many questions. Okay, so the cops knew that the narcos are there. What are the narcos there doing that the cops know they can't be around to be around there to protect you?
Um,
What are they,
so
cocaine, floating cocaine in boats or loading boats?
that's what I think, yeah, is drug drops. So yeah, I
Cops
mean,
don't want to be there.
we had a very clear, this was the main beach we walked along was like miles and miles and miles, and we just walk back dusk till dawn, like back and forth, a lot of walking. But there were areas that even the police had said, like, you don't go past here. Nobody goes past here. Like there's areas that even the police won't go, right? And
It
you
sounds
know,
like the police are being paid off not to be there.
what do I know about anything, Brett?
I don't know anything about much. I don't know nothing about nothing. I
I'm
don't
just
know
trying to
anything
save
about-
little sea turtles, man. That's all. But you asked me a question earlier. How do I know turtles are stupid? So bless. So sometimes the turtles come to shore, right? And it's these are enormous dinosaurs. These are ancient animals, right? It's incredible to see her. She's perfectly adapted to life under the sea. She's got these big long fins, and she can move with grace and elegance under the water. And but they're really a fish out of water when they come to the land, and they're vulnerable because
Right.
flippers aren't made for, carrying what, 600 pounds, 1,000 pounds. I don't know what they weigh, like all the way up the banks. And then she's got to dig a hole with these flippers. Then she goes into a trance when she's laying her eggs. Like she has no idea what's going on. Like you could actually, scientists will sometimes tag them at that point because they have no idea. They're like, nobody's home. And
Completely
so
phased out.
gone.
Yeah.
And so she'll lay her eggs, and then when she's done, she snaps out of the trance, and that could take like an hour. And then she'll kind of fill the hole, and then as best as one can with flippers, and then she like waddles her way back to the shore. And so she's also very vulnerable when she's in that state because she can't do anything. So if you wanted to harm a turtle, I don't know, but anyway, so that's what they do. That's the plan, right? And this is all like, it is instinctive. Like they know. And when sometimes you see a turtle and they always look so ancient and wise, but some of them you can tell she's an old turtle, and she'll like go up the banks, she'll lay her eggs in and out. This ain't her first rodeo. And she's a master of it, in and out, perfect nest. And then sometimes you see a turtle, she'll come to shore and she's a little bit smaller. She looks a little younger. It's probably her first time like laying eggs. She doesn't really know what to do. And so those are the ones that would often like kind of lay their eggs in a not so great spot, or she'd try to dig a hole and it doesn't work. So she'd go back to sea, but then she's like, oh, I really need to lay eggs. So she'd come up again a little bit further along the bank and try again. And we're just kind of watching to see what she does. Because ultimately we wanted to collect those eggs at this particular campaign, because there was a safe area by the police station where we'd create a new turtle nest, but it was in a safe zone where they couldn't be stolen because poachers were the risk. So anyways, but sometimes it's like, watch these turtles come ashore, and this one, she was like, it's a beautiful, like probably 10 miles long, this beach, huge, beautiful white beach, white sand beach. But there's the occasional bit of debris that washes the shore here and there. So I watched her come ashore, and there was like this log, like not even a big log, like, well, you can't, like this, just a log, like, and she's like coming out of the tide, and she's like going to like lay her eggs. She like walks right into this log, like bonk, she head bonks, right? And it's like, dude, right there, the exit's right, just, and it's
Yeah.
like, she tries again, bonk, she tries again, bonk, and then she just like turns around and goes back into the ocean. It's like, nah, this isn't a good beach, too much head bonking here. And it's like, it's
Yeah.
literally yeah, I
She might
don't
know
think
something. She might know something that is intrinsic, or they're probably dialed in a.
well, she eventually managed, she found another spot, but it was like, this one's taken a while because she's just like, enough with the head bonking, like that's a log, we've established this, it's solid, we can't go through it. But they're cute. I say that in the most loving way because I just get such a kick out of life, right? And animals are amazing, and intelligence is entirely subjective. And I couldn't do what they do. And yeah, but turtles, man, weird animals.
Turtles are amazing.
They
I
are.
love turtles. I love sea turtles. They're very ancient. I mean, you gotta there's some. I love animals. I love animals. I love
I know you do.
and
You actually watched my pup for me before. I don't know if you remember that, but yeah.
where were you? Oh, I probably.
Milner.
Oh, good old Milner. Such a such a sad. Anyways,
Oh, sweetheart, let it go, let it go. I
let it
promise
go,
you.
let it
It was,
go. Um,
I send you
so
big hugs.
uh, um, the so with conservation, I mean, you're gonna give us an insight into that. I mean, what? I mean, are people just? It's like you got people trying to help them, you got people trying to destroy them. Where's the medium? And there, I know there with these questions. I mean, is it like whack-a-mole? And we have to think that there are more good people than bad people in the world because these people
Yeah, yeah.
are being really not nice to a critical species endangered and not really caring. And do the tourists really buy this shit, knowing
So they
full well
do.
what happened to get that egg to that fucking
I
shot?
mean, so it's a good question, and I mean, it's bigger than this one campaign, but I can give you one example from that same campaign. Uh, later on, later on, we were on a different beach, and this was a smaller beach, but it was like, if you were to go to, like, I don't know, name some fancy all-inclusive resort, it's like it would be one, literally a few of those all-inclusive resorts were right on this, and this was their beach, but turtles come there too. And so we were there, and it was like afternoon at this point, and there was a turtle. She's not supposed to be there in the afternoon, but again, turtles, they didn't read the rule book. So she was leaving. She was on her way back to the ocean, and there were like cops standing around, a bunch of tourists standing around, and this is already like a week or something into the campaign. And there was and there's wild dogs. It's Costa Rica, Latin America. There's often a lot of stray dogs around. So there was this pit bull. She was so excited because this turtle, and again, she's exhausted and it's hot. She's laid these eggs. She shouldn't be out during the day, and she's slowly trying to make her way back to the ocean. And there was about 6 of us in our group, so we're like, fuck, we got to split off. Like, we need to get these eggs, but also like we got to protect her because the pit bull is really excited about the turtle, right? And so it's like, do I feel like getting bit by a dog? I don't personally today. So we split off, and some people were just kind of like shepherding her, just making sure the dog doesn't get a nip in. It's a dog. Of course it's excited. My dog would do the same, right? So just making sure she safely gets back into
It's a
the
loose
ocean.
dog, though. It's a loose dog. Doesn't belong to a
It's a
person.
loose dog. It's a loose dog. And it's just like it's just a wild dog or stray or whatever. And so at this point, like, I've learned from the cops, I've learned from our colleagues, I'm actually pretty adept at this point at finding concealed turtle. It's one of my skills, finding concealed turtle eggs, like in the sand. Because once she lays her eggs, and you can't see the nest, it's like invisible, right? So I've got
You
this
can
little
actually step
stick,
on them if you're not careful.
but they're okay. She's buried a hole. Like, she makes a long, narrow hole, and like she plants them, right? So you can't see it when she covers it up. So I'm like walking around, and I've got this like little stick I found somewhere, kind of like a holster in my belt. I've got like this stick, and this is my nest finding stick, right? So, and it's just a matter of like kind of gently poking in the sand, and like I can tell where it feels like that was hollow once, and then you gently excavate and whatever. But we went there, and there's like all kinds of tourists around. The turtle's leaving, and we're like, "Where's the nest?" And they're like, "No, she didn't lay eggs. She just came by. There was no nest." And it's like, I don't believe you, because everybody's got an agenda, right? And everybody, it's like noon or something, right? And like everybody's drunk as fuck. They're on vacation, And I'm like poking around, and like we can't find it, but I know there's something's off again. And it's like, I know she laid her eggs. I know it's here. And they're all like, no, she didn't lay eggs, whatever. And it's like trying to find. And then meanwhile, the pit bull team have safely escorted her. She's in the ocean. She's free. So they're coming back now. You know who else is coming back is the pit bull. And this dog's fucking amazing. It's a wild dog, right? But I couldn't quite find the nest. I'm poking around, but it could be anywhere. But he or she knew exactly where that nest is because they got their noses, right? So as soon as the turtle was gone, this dog that we never seen before is like sniffing in one spot in the sand. It's like, thank you. And so poke there, and like, yeah, that's the spot. So we got the eggs, right? And there's these tourists standing around, and people kind of dissipate once they realize we're taking the eggs. The crowd just kind of went away. There's this one dude, like 20-something-year-old American dude, drunk as fuck, right? And he's like, he's still standing there with me. And I'm dirty and I'm hot and I've been going all night, you know, like this is our last nest and we're going to bed. It's like gently taking the eggs out, documenting them, counting them. And he's just like, you know, kind of standing around seeing if he still wanted one. They were obviously going to buy them, right? And it was like, and I'm like, you do realize that this is an endangered species, right? And he was like, humanity is endangered, or humans are endangered, man. And I'm like, they're really not. Like, we're really not. And he's like, well, the human spirit is endangered. And I'm like,
Who was this guy a tourist? This guy in
I'm
particular?
like, please just stop talking to me now. Yeah, he was just a tourist. And it was like, he doesn't realize, like, he's drunk as fuck. He's been going on, I've been going all night too, but in a very different way, right? And like, I've been like protecting turtles all night. He just wants a fucking, you know, egg shot and like whatever. And he's having a good time. And do you really think though, do you really think that when you know, like when you buy a plate of chicken wings, do you think where that came from? Do you
I do.
really, you know, like
I do
we
think
don't
about it.
necessarily associate our food with the source.
I think about it in great detail about where I get my food.
Okay.
I mean it's I mean the way we treat animals on this planet is fucking ridiculous. I mean
It is, and it's also very easy to disassociate from food from the individual. And so this is really not that far of an extension from that. You know what I mean? It's a different animal, and we're sympathetic to turtles because who doesn't love a turtle? You know what I mean? But it's kind of the same thing, you know? So this guy had that beautiful, like, you know, like disconnect from his food, and he's drunk and he's on vacation and he doesn't want to lecture, and I don't really care to talk to him anyways, but I don't know if maybe it gave him a pause for thought, but he wasn't getting that egg, not that day. So yeah.
I mean I do think a lot about where I get my food and where it comes from and the chickens I mean it's gnarly. I mean where we get our food and how it's processed and how we
It
obtain it.
is. I mean,
It's
I
pretty
had this
crazy.
conversation in Japan with this like this journalist who wrote for a nationalist newspaper who literally casually followed us up a hill as we were doing surveillance, and was like talking to me just casually, but not casually because he's leaning into me and you can clearly see he's for like recording. He's got a mic in his pocket. But what he said to me, because Japan, of course, whaling, you know, they'll eat dolphins, they eat whales and stuff, which we find absolutely reprehensible. But what he said, and I really enjoy conversations with people like this, he said basically, well, first of all, it was me and two friends, and he was like, first of all, and this is a valid argument, he was like, who the fuck are you Americans to come here and tell us that our way of life is wrong? And it's like, fair enough, but I'm not American. Jesse's British. Jerome is French.
Fucking Canadian, man.
Fair enough. But also he said, you know, like we never ate cows, we never ate pork, we never ate chickens until you brought it here. So who the fuck are you to tell us that our way of life is wrong? And he's not wrong, as appalling as it is to eat a whale. Like he has a point, and that's why I don't eat cows or chickens or pork or anything else, because it's a continuum, you know, and there are cultural elements there, you know, and I'm not going to get into that in any sort of, I'm not a preachy person. That's my personal journey. But yeah, that disconnect exists. And that nationalism is also one of the things that is problematic for, like you said, are there more bad guys than good guys, or why is this stuff still happening? Some of it is out of spite. A lot of it is out of money. Like people do terrible, atrocious things to the environment and beyond for money, right? But yeah, no, there's definitely some nationalism involved in some ways too, which make these problems very difficult to solve, because I cannot, as a white North American person, come in and fucking like, you know, save people from themselves. These are generational issues that involve education, empowerment, empowering women, empowering children, educating children to make things change. Those are not quick solutions. Those are long-term generational solutions. But so we have to take kind of like emergency action in the meantime. But I truly believe that's the solution moving forward, is education and empowerment. You know, these are beautiful waters, pristine waters. Some of the waters I've protected, you know, Jacques Cousteau described it as the world's aquarium. This is not mine. This belongs to those children that live there. They've been living off that ocean for generations, you know, and they should continue to. And it's just, if we can do anything at all, it's like giving them the support and the tools they need to empower them to continue to protect it and live off the land. You know, it's not for us to come in and fucking save the day. That's bullshit and it's ego and not into that.
Yeah, I think well, when it comes down to like the last guy, Terry Olson, who is the owner, you probably checked out that my Burning Man and where I ended up that hotel talking, and he had a lot to say about the environment and climate change, and I think you know, it really, you know, climate change, whatever you want to call it. I was inspired from talking to this guy and just how passionate, but it's also this like, are we fighting a losing battle? Are we bound to destroy ourselves and all these different things that come up in your, but climate change is real and it's affecting everything. And I told him there are more bad guys or good guys and bad guys. And he's all, but so the guys, some of these people don't know they're doing bad things. They're in the guise of thinking they're doing the right thing, but they're actually doing really, really bad things without not knowing it.
Example, give me an example.
I guess he was talking about the let me kind of fish back in my brain. The coral reefs and how those are dying off, and and that's a sort of a direct response to us doing something bad to the oceans or over.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to remember what he was saying, but it's little fish. If the little fish go, then the big fish go.
Totally.
Little fish get eaten by big fish, and then so on, and so forth. So
similarly, if the big fish go,
the
little fish go. Like it's very much an ecosystem.
Rampant climate change, and we can't really. Mom, this is the thing. She's had her car running, and I don't know if the microphone's going to pick this up, but she's had it on for 10 minutes.
Oh gosh, I don't hear it, but.
But that's the thing. Is like, we are so into our own self. We don't care if we're doing bad things, like that fucking nut job in Costa Rica with eating that fucking turtle egg. He doesn't give a shit. That's a life. That's a life. And yes, whale, cow, dog, cat. You can go around the world and we get blended up in 1,000 different ways. People want to eat.
Maybe he does give a shit though. Now I don't know. That was one interaction with one person at
But
one time.
An example of how
Yeah.
people are just into their own shit. They don't really.
Well, so this is an interesting, actually, kind of gets me onto a topic that I'd love to talk to you about, which is how do you fix that? How do you get people to give a shit? See, because what the activists do is, they'll stand in front of something and demonstrate and scream in your face and blah, blah, blah. And, like make all these social media pages, but they're shouting into the void. It's in an echo chamber because the people who follow them already know this shit and are already outraged by it and frankly enjoy being outraged by it. But like, how do you actually change where society is at? I don't personally, I mean, there's probably a place for different solutions, but what I think is like, to change behavior, you have to change hearts and minds. And I think that art is an incredibly powerful tool to bring forth meaningful change. Like you look at something like, okay, take Seaspiracy, for example, an amazing film. Check it out on Netflix.
Say the name of it again. What's the name of it again?
Seaspiracy. Have you seen it?
Conspiracy? No.
Well, you got to see it.
I know.
In a minute. Go fucking see it.
I've been busy, but I know that what's busy. If it's good, if it's educational, then I should.
So here's the interesting thing, and it actually touches on some of the things that you and I were talking about earlier, the campaigns and stuff. But to me, as somebody who's deep in sort of that ocean conservation world, or was, it didn't say anything that I don't already know, and that a lot of people don't already know. But it was profoundly impactful because it was on Netflix and it reached people that are not in the echo chamber, and like it was really shocking to a lot of people. And that's the power of art, of film, like to reach people and be like, holy fuck. And then, and then it affects you because you see it. And I've often said out there, like, I do believe, I fundamentally believe that people are inherently good. And There's nothing special about me. I'm incredibly privileged. I've had the opportunity to see a lot of things firsthand that have shaped me. And anybody else who walked in my shoes would probably make the same decisions that I've made. And I just wish we had the capacity to bring everybody there to see it, because again, it's just this lack of awareness. If you saw what I saw, you can't, it's the humanity in us. You can't help but be affected by that, you know? So it's like, how do you reach people on that level, that human level that cuts across all of the divisions we have, whether it's men and women, black and white, you know, like poacher, fisherman, vegan, you know, like whatever, left, right, like we're fucking humans, you know what I mean? And like, it's that spark that I think there's a real magic to art that reaches people on that level and communicates. Whereas when you're talking to somebody, are you really listening, or are you thinking of how you want to respond with your views already, you know, locked into your own mind?
No, so many people talk at people and not to them. There's a continual like you know, I'm sure you've been in a conversation where somebody's talking to you and they're like, they ask you a question and then they don't let you answer it, or you answer it and you think it's actually a really interesting subject, and then it's like they phased out. They weren't. If you're gonna ask somebody a question, at least wait for the fucking answer, or actually not pretend to be interested. If you're gonna pretend to be interested in the question, don't ask the fucking question. There's things to be learned and there's things to be examined. And if you're gonna just, I don't know, it's education, it's generational, it's everything that you're saying about like I mean, triage, even trying to get rid of the homeless problem. Like, how do we do that? Triage housing, is it really working? Who knows? But it's got to be some steps in some sort of direction to do something, you know. But climate change is that's ever since that Terry Olson guy got a hold of me. I mean, I thought about climate change ever since the early 80s and all that stuff with the ozone layer and the whole thing. But like, I don't know if people give a shit.
Well, I think there's another,
and that's me being like completely I'm an optimistic person. I'm a very hopeful person.
I know
But
you
I
are.
see people that don't want to like I was just watching I was on Jessica Montez's podcast the other day, and she did a thing which she's great. She let me plug this thank you, Jessica Montez. Watch her podcast. She let me plug this on her show. But it's like I was watching a stream that she did earlier that day, talking to this guy who's a Trump supporter, Jeff. I don't know you, Jeff, but we've been on her podcast a couple times. And I didn't know that he was a Trump supporter, and she goes, well, why are you a Trump supporter? And he goes, well, because I make more money under Trump than I do under Republicans than I do, which is, and then Jessica's response, and I'm paraphrasing, and hopefully she'll probably never watch this, but she's all, well, I'm so confused and I just don't give a shit at this point. I don't even know if I'm going to vote. And in my mind, I'm sitting here to two people I've been watching on the internet for a while telling me I don't want to, if she doesn't want to vote, that's fine. I'm not here to, you know, I obviously want Kamala Harris, and you all should want that too, but I'm not going to tell you what you want. It's pretty obvious. If you think a felon with 34 counts is good for your presidency and a convicted rapist, then who am I to say that? But, or it's a, you know, Kamala Harris is obviously a more positive, you know, even if it's not even, all this is not even real, then, you know, I would go more towards a positive. And the fact that it's going to be the first, you know, female president of the United States that's ever been. I mean, this is a historical moment. But I think people they need to get activated. I mean, they need to, like, some people are feeling not activated, or frustrations. It's just like with the turtles or climate change or, you know, homelessness. It's like people have to activate. Like my friend in Portland, she feeds people fresh Dee, she's on the podcast, feeds grocery. She gives away free food to BIPOC, you know, Black, Indigenous.
Amazing.
Yeah. What's that?
Thank you, Dee. That's amazing.
She's amazing. She's amazing. And because I didn't even know what BIPOC meant up until that. So there are people doing good things, but there's also
There's a lot of people
the
doing good
frustration,
things.
and they just this guy sees his wallet, she sees confusion and frustration, so
Well,
nothing happens in the meantime. And so that it basically their hands, even the billionaires, hey guys, there are billionaires that are out there that are going to just vote for Trump, even though he'll destroy the fucking planet or anything he touches, and they don't care about his convictions or rapists or whatever. They want their wallet, and they already have money, and they do the stupidest bullshit with it. Like, don't even get me started about these Republicans that Claude knows. That's all. And those fish tickets that he went to go see, and he was in these box. They'd be like $60,000 for these fucking seats. Claude's in there fucking jumping around by himself. It's like 60 grand can go a long way put in the right situation. And these people just want money to blow any other way they can. They'll shoot out their ass and make a fucking paper airplane out of it. I don't know what they want to do with it, but they're not fucking. It's all self-involved. Okay, that's my.
I don't know. I don't know anything about any of that. I don't know anything about anything. I'm just
But
talking.
it seems like people that want the money will just blow. Like some of these guys don't. They can't even smoke a joint, and they're millionaires. They can't even smoke a joint in their own fucking house because of whatever dynamics these people have. That's not freedom.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I guess the point of it is there's people. I think people are just in this weird, like, it's even like with Hollywood, like where people have taken my movie idea 3 different times. I knew these 3 people. They didn't like them. They basically, they had the means to make it, but I had the idea, and then they made it, and then they made the money off it. And it's just this weird cycle. I mean, what are we in? What are we fucking doing as a people? You tell me.
I don't know, but I think there's a lot of issues, and I don't have the answer. And it's such an important question, right? Like, what are we? Are we corrupt? Is this always going to happen? This ties back to Burning Man a little bit in a sense, which maybe you don't want to go there again, but it's this utopic. It's not perfect. There's
I want to go back there. I want to go back there.
No, but listen, but like it's this magical place that you want to go back to. We all want to go back. I want to go back. I just came back. I want to go back, but it exists. And if this is possible, then why don't we build this? Why do we build this fucking shit? You know what I mean? And a friend of mine had said that this is only possible because it's temporary. And maybe that is correct. Maybe power corrupts. Absolutely. But
well, even though the good vibes at Burning Man, people are trying to scam for tickets. They're trying to take advantage of people that, even in that great that biosphere of positivity and creativity, there's still the outliers that want to fuck somebody.
Well, yeah, there's still the sharks and the opportunists, and there's still people stealing in there, and there's still sexual assaults in there, and there's still all kinds of bad shit going on. But there's also a different version of society that exists. It's a big city, so there's going to be an element to that, but it is food for thought. At least for me, it's always food for thought. Like, if this is possible, why don't we build this? I think a lot of the problem, I don't have the answers, and I realize that, like, pointing out flaws is not helpful. We need solutions, but some of my observations are like that it's very difficult to think on a conceptual and helping others kind of level when your own house is on fire. It's like the airplanes where they're like, in the event of emergency, put on your own mask before helping others. So a lot of people are really struggling, Brett. You and I both. I mean, a lot of people are struggling to feed themselves, to have a roof over their head, to survive.
I'm living with my mom in the laundry room. I'm living in my house in a laundry room with my mom, my brother, and my sister in Salem. This is not where I thought it was going to be at 55.
No, same. And it's like, so it's very difficult. And you're a rare breed, and you're an artist, and I have mad love for you, and I think you're fucking brilliant. And you are brilliant. It's very difficult to worry about larger community or even like conceptual issues when you're hungry and when you can't feed your family, when you don't have a roof over your head. And a lot of people now, on whatever side of the political divide or whatever you want, are they've been fucked over, and they don't have the money, they don't have the resources. This is not where any of us expected to be right now, right? And so it's like, it's really hard to gather collectively and harness the power of the people when everybody is desperate. And I've talked to people. I've talked to people that you probably would not consider friends, that are very much on the other side of the political spectrum, who are like, this is I deserve to have more than this. And they do deserve to have more than this, but it's not that guy who's seeking asylum at the border. He's not the one who fucked you, but we've all got our own programming and we've
Hey,
all got
having
our
a sense
own.
of entitlement is not
No, but
and a lot of
but
people do have a sense of entitlement. Like I deserve this, I did this, blah 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 blah.
I don't see it that way. I
Okay.
don't see it that
I
way.
know a
I
lot of
think
people are entitled.
everybody does deserve to live comfortably and happily and be able to, thrive in whatever capacity that means, whatever that means to them, provided that they're not harming others, like that's freedom, but it's tough. It's tough for a lot of people. I think you can acknowledge
Or
that.
they're
And
fighting.
I don't know what the solution is, but I don't think that, pitting neighbor against neighbor is necessarily
No,
the answer. And I think that if when given the opportunity to connect with people on a human level, again, Burning Man allows that opportunity, you actually realize that we're more similar than we are different. And I see this, travel does this too, right? Travel does this. The guys that we're told are the bad guys and they're scary and whatever. You go to those fucking countries and you realize that these people, maybe their politicians are nightmares, maybe ours are too, but people just want to raise their children. They want safety. They want to be able to, that people want the same thing worldwide, with the occasional psychopath. But like, I have to believe that people are fundamentally good and we're all the same, and
I think people
the
get off.
answer lies in there. I just haven't figured it out yet, but
I
it's
think
like we
people.
need to
I
come
think people get
together
off on their own
because
shit. I think people do.
nobody wants this.
Well, no, I mean, even this isn't that bad. I mean, look at I'm smoking a
No, I
cigar.
don't mean this. I don't mean this. Your house is
Nobody
lovely.
wants this show. Nobody wants this podcast. Well, they didn't ask for it, so I'm giving it to you anyways. But I do believe there is a was that did you see Dune too? There's a thin line in. There's a one thin line in, and it comes for a moment, and we have to do that.
I see possible futures all at once. Our enemies are all around us. And in so many futures they prevail. But I do see a way. There is a narrow way through.
I think we're raising the vibration of the planet, even this conversation or whatever, just expressing ourselves in a way to that will hopefully allows other people to, or kind of triggers people into different ideas. We're it's a soup. We're in a fucking cosmic soup, and we the planet's gonna eat us all. Me, you, everybody we know will be eaten by the planet. So the planet's hungry too, baby. So but the way we go about getting things done is very I mean, hey, I know people that are millionaires that I'm not in the club. You're not in the club. It's just what Carlin said. They have a club and you're not in it. And I had friends for 20 years in Venice and Santa Monica, and I wasn't who lived like like artists or pseudo artists or had galleries or but they always when the ship sailed and everybody the 20-year friendship, they go to have children, they got their money, they always had a sense of security in what they were doing because they knew that they're rich. They never told anybody, they never exploited it, but now they are in their rich bubble with their rich friends, and that's who they rich people talk to. And so it's just funny because I guess the point is the friendships that people have don't necessarily translate sometimes over money. Money changes people. I'm sure you've seen it. And greed, or like even with these people with like, I think money is it. It's all about that whale blubber and so yeah. If people are, you need to go soon. We'll take off soon. Let's see, you're looking at the dog or your watch. But
No, I'm good. I'm good.
But like, I'm sure if there's a solution, it would have been done by now. But I guess the climate change, this is all gonna not mean shit once we don't have a planet. That's the thing, is that all this conversation doesn't mean shit if you don't have a planet to fucking go on. It's a fucking
Mother Nature always wins in the end.
Yeah.
She
Well, we're
always
part of
wins.
nature, though.
You know what? The planet will be fine. It may not
Yes.
be the way we know it. It may not be anything conceivable to us, but she'll be fine. There will be life. we're not going to be a part of it, and arguably we don't deserve to be a part of it. It's for
Sure we
me,
do.
it's just a shame that we're taking a lot of innocent lives with us. So, we try to stop that. Some of us try to stop it. I think a lot of people are overwhelmed and, don't know what to believe or don't feel they can have a positive impact. And there's a lot of that because, again, I think when you're struggling in your, to meet your most basic needs, it's hard to look at like, okay, how am I going to deal with this other problem that's, kind of a big deal, but it doesn't involve me literally being on fire right this second. So it's tough, man. I don't know the answer. Just, I don't know. I'm just trying
It's
to vibe.
overwhelming.
Just love your people and live a good life.
Well, right. Yeah. I mean, you gotta be
Do no harm.
positive. Don't try to fuck people over. All the common sense stuff like that. But as far as like political stuff, I think people want to be entertained. That's all that people want to. They want things to
Has
divert.
an element of that.
No, completely, completely. People don't. As long as you can keep a fucking screen in front of somebody's face, and it's all about idiocracy or all these different things. It's just like they're content with being mediocrely happy. If there's this, they'll remain in the gray area if it doesn't mean any drama or any difference to. And I'm being very broad brush stroke here. Not everybody's like this, but I find people like their little sweet spot, and they'll do anything to kind of keep it that way. If you're rich, poor, whatever, if it's like having a pack of Marlboros a day and a gallon of milk, that's your kick. If you
Well,
get
there's comfort and familiarity.
yeah,
And also, people only know what they know, right? So you can only experience or you can only conceptualize what you want based on what you know. And if you haven't really traveled outside of your hometown or know people beyond your friend group that are in the same sort of life circumstances that you are, it's very hard to conceptualize something beyond that. And that's not a critique of anybody. That's we are, we're animals, and this is how our brains function. So, uh, yeah.
how's your
Uh,
political system over there in Canada? Are you happy with it?
no, no. But I'm not a politics person.
Either.
And really?
No, I hate
Yeah,
politics.
there's room for improvement. It's tough here. It's tough for everybody. I think there's a lot of whatever happens in the US happens on a grand scale. We're very similar to you. But you guys are a lot louder and a lot bigger. And so but the issues that affect you trickle down and affect many others as well too. So same but different. It's not ideal. I've seen a lot of difference coming back to Canada for the first time, after 7 years away and being around the world. It's it isn't the way it was. And that's not a positive thing. It's definitely worse. But don't I don't know. I don't know much about politics, and I'm very happy to say I don't know, which isn't that's not a hand waving right off. Like everybody needs to get, informed and engaged. We have a responsibility. It's also not my specialty though. So
I think we've got to get activated in all these different corners of reality. You've got to, if you want to see change, then you're not gonna make change sitting on your ass watching your fucking TV.
true.
Not saying you.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So people that complain.
You have a TV? Oh man, you're living the dream. I don't have a fucking TV.
Well, people that watch like fucking Jordan Peterson or fucking any number of right wing fucking douchebags, and then they fucking reiterate the same crap, thinking it's intelligence to their friends, and they don't even have a right to vote in this country. I'm talking about people specifically, but so why are you even arguing the point in the first place if you can't make a difference in that matter? Go to things that you can do differently. You know what? Even like happy. I mean, I know I'm spouting off a lot, but it's like do something that makes you happy and not sad and disgruntled about what is not being done. Like, I mean, it seems like, thank God I have a painting because I'd be probably like in a nut house without it, or some people don't have any way to explore ideas with just regurgitating the BS that they have been influenced by watching TV 8 hours on a program that agrees or says their talking points that they can agree with. Then they just respeed it. But like going into like, I know I'm lucky because I'm tactile. I can make things with my hands, and that'll eat up like 3 hours. or whatever, or a lifetime. But education, activation. I mean, I just think that and this climate thing is going to supersede all that shit. Talk about turtles not having a place to lay eggs. How about if there's no water to fucking swim in, or that is all polluted because of the acidity in the water?
I mean, it's that I've literally seen the degradation of coral reefs in my lifetime. Like it's that fast.
Yeah.
Reefs that were great and now are just dead. I've literally seen it happening that fast. So yeah, it's a big problem, but you can understand how this can feel. And that's just talking about the ocean. That's one little tiny example. Climate change is much larger. You can understand how people feel overwhelmed and helpless. And that sort of inhibits people's ability to do anything at all. And I get that. I know what it's like to feel overwhelmed. And you're right. Find your joy, find the one little thing you can do. I really believe in the power of community and kindness, of course. May not save the world, but it's like, okay, so for example, when we were in Mexico and we were like pulling in these poachers' nets, trying to save the most endangered marine mammal in the world. There's fucking like 8 of them left or something at this point. And it's like, it doesn't look good, Brett. It doesn't look good for this animal, and other animals get caught in these nets and whatever. And it's like, it's hard because you just fucking see and smell and hear and experience death day after day after day after day. Just loss, 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 loss. You're just getting kicked in the teeth. Every net that comes in with a dead animal is you failing that animal again because you didn't get there in time, because you can't save them all. You can't save them all, but you keep going out there and you keep trying. And then maybe I get a net and it's all rotten and gnarly and there's bones. You can't even fucking identify what was in there anymore. But maybe there's a crab in there and he's all tangled up, but I can cut him out. And this is where I find my joy in a moment like that. And weeks, months of this, it's hard. And like, this guy doesn't even want to be rescued. He's eating all the rotten shit in the net, but he's like, I can cut him free and put him in the ocean. And like, saving a crab is not going to save the ocean. It's not going to change fucking climate change, but damn it, it mattered to that crab. You know what I mean? And it matters to me. And even if it's on a micro level like that, there's things we can all do. At the very least, do no harm. You know what I mean? And if you can, if you have a little bit more energy to spare at the end of the day after doing no harm, try to do a little bit of good. And art does that. It does that. You're bringing joy and beauty into the world, and that matters. And keeping yourself relatively sane.
I agree with that so wholeheartedly. But I was driving down when I was left you guys in Gerlach, and driving down that highway in the desert is the sun going over the that red orange mountain view, and I avoided killing about 6 or 7, no joke, 6 or 7 different animals on that.
Wow. Really?
And the rabbits or mice. I think I might have had a mouse got underneath, but they were like, it was getting dark, and so I saw, and it probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, but I am a lover of life, and I saw this rabbit in the road up like this. It was a baby rabbit, and I don't know if it was freaked out or if it had slightly got hit by one of the legs, but I stopped. Both sides of the highway were black because there's nobody on the highway. So I pulled up to the rabbit in the middle divider. I got out of the car, which is probably stupid because I could have been caused a major accident because I didn't have my hazards on or anything. I jumped out of the car, picked that rabbit up, and took it to the side of the road and put it on the side of the road, and then left. Whether or not that rabbit has a fighting chance, there was no blood. I maybe saw like a dot of blood where I lifted it up, but it was probably more stunned. But the fact of appreciating that it was still alive and maybe to do that, I didn't have to think very hard to do that. Yeah. It just was automatic. No one would usually get out of their car in the middle of the highway in the desert in the middle of the night and pick up a rabbit out of the middle of the road. But it's that sensitivity to the preciousness of life, like picking up a spider and putting it onto a log, even though, it's like, it's not, I think it's a mentality of that, isn't it? Because it's that life that I'm sure it's just like what you said about the crab. That might not have mattered to anybody else, but I'm sure maybe, if not, maybe even not, then maybe the rabbit didn't appreciate it. Maybe it doesn't have the function or the self-awareness to do that, but it was alive, and I was preserving the life that it was.
Good on you.
but why did I do that? I mean, does it matter in the long scheme of things? Maybe to that rabbit it did, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just,
You did it because it was the right thing to do, and that's what we are. I mean, I think that's what we are in our core. Just think of like when you're a little kid, and me too, it's like, yeah, of course you want to help the bunny rabbit, you want to help whatever, and we lose all of that because whatever shit, you know what I
well,
mean?
eat
But
the egg turtle, the turtle egg, and that turtle egg thing makes me crazy.
it was an interesting moment because he's not a bad guy. I don't know anything about that guy. I was frustrated with him in
I
that
don't like
moment.
that guy.
I wasn't the biggest
I'll
fan
say it.
either,
Yeah.
but he's not a bad guy. He's just a stupid guy. And so did
So
he
people
learn
are idiots?
something? Probably not, but maybe. But I also, again, don't think that screaming in his face would have
Oh,
necessarily
no, no.
changed. But that's not who I am, anyways. But it was a little exasperating. But
Yeah,
again, he
this
didn't
is
he
very
didn't come there with the idea. Somebody put that idea in his head. So there's a market, somebody's making money off of this, put that idea into this guy's head. He was like, oh yeah, this magic pill will make me happy. And so, he's a victim of this whole freaking game too. I don't know, man.
So,
I want to say a few
what's
tears.
coming up in your future? What are you working? What are you working on these days? Or now that it seems like you're not really having too bad of a decompression from Burning Man. What's your next step?
Dude, I've been sleeping for
As
days.
human,
It's been hard. I've been on this natural high like for days. Sorry, no, I don't want to talk about that with you because I know you're a little sore still, and I don't want
I'm
that.
not
It
sore.
was shit,
I just
Brett.
I
It
could
was the worst,
I
worst Burning Man ever.
no, it
Fucking,
wasn't. You loved it. You enjoyed every fucking second of
it
it.
was the worst.
Uh, no, I'm okay, but I'm sort of an empathetic person, and I'll dare say psychic. In some situations, and I could see this slowly happening and unrolling in front of my eyes. So when it happened, it was more like I'm over it, but it was like I should have done things differently, knowing that this is a possibility. But am I mad? No, no, I'm not mad. I want everybody to be happy. But I don't, trust me. I learned something a lot. But you can talk about Burning Man and how much fun it was. I think I'm gonna do things a little. I have to chisel things. I learned a lot, so I'll be quiet about that. But decompressing from it is good. But so what activities are you working on now? What is a girl that's a conservationist and ex sea shepherd, diver, helper like do now? What are you looking forward to doing in the
Isn't that the question? I don't know because I walked away from that world like over a year ago now, and again, no regrets, but it ran its course, and time to move on to something new. But I honestly don't really know. I've been struggling with that, and it's one of the reasons I was happy to have this opportunity to sort of reset and reconnect and kind of figure out, you know, you got to reinvent yourself sometimes, and that's where I'm at right now. And I don't know. I don't know. As for now, I'm just like hanging with my pup and spending time with my family. I've been growing some pumpkins. Some of them rotted when I was away, but I'm planning to make a glorious jack-o'-lantern army. Like I was going to sell these pumpkins that I was growing, but now I'm like, I want to keep them all and just have this really spooky, like make the whole front of the house like all these pumpkins. But two of them rotted, so now I'm down to pumpkins. So I only have like 11 or something now. But yeah, just absolutely nothing, absolute absurdity, and just like, stumbling my way through life as I do every year, Brett.
No, well, it's all about the stumble, right?
It is about the stumble. The stumble's good fun.
When does the weather get really cold there?
So, well, climate change, so who the hell knows? But I think it's still like warm-ish now, but it's different. You can tell it's not like you can tell we're on the cusp of fall. Pretty soon the leaves will start turning and stuff. And winter is hell. Winter is hell, dude. Like it's It's so bad. It's so bad. And I am like a failed Canadian. Like I cannot do cold like at all. Like not at all. Like no. So and there's no daylight and it's just not.
When does it get to like?
I guess I should figure my shit out before winter because I'm sounds like I'm not looking forward to that. Like
Well,
it's
that's all. This
terrible.
whole podcast is just to remind you that winter is about to come, and
Oh
you need
man,
to get
winter
your
is
shit
coming.
together.
Dang.
Like it gets like I'm on the 45th parallel over here in Salem, which is like an equinox, or it has something to do with the meridian of the planet, and it gets dark when it's at its lowest. It gets dark at like 4 o'clock or 4:30,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's not
Terrible, isn't it?
right. What's that?
It's just terrible.
Does it get like that there?
Yeah, I can the worst days, and I can remember back when I had a like normal office job would be like I'd be going into work in the morning for like a 9 to 5, and you go into the office, it's still dark outside, and then you come out of the office and it's dark outside, and then you're like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Really, like just miserable. Those are only a few days. It's like right at the right, at the
And
solstice, but it's like those are miserable days, man. Oof, I don't want to do it.
do you think you'll do any vacations or could try to seek out sunnier weather locations during your winter?
I don't really know. I'm dealing with some stuff here right now and I'm kind of needed here um and I sort of need to figure out what I am up to next, find a worthy project and a gig and I'm just haven't really figured out exactly what that is right now. I'm just searching and piecing together the pieces as we all are.
Well, it seems like are you just over like because you're over like I'm not saying over, but like will you do something that's has something to do with helping others?
Almost certainly. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna go pure evil. Like I'm not not going to go for something that's harming others if I can avoid it. I
You
mean,
might snap. It could happen. It sounds
that
like
would be a
you
shocking like
might
plot
snap.
twist. Could be kind of fun. I'll just become like this villain. That would be maybe I will. Yeah, no, I don't know. I really don't know. I've been doing a lot of in all seriousness, I've been doing a lot of reflection on this and kind of trying to figure out, destroy to create, tear it down to its most fundamental components and who am I and what matters to me and everything else you can let it go. But yeah, kind of going through some of that stuff right now and I don't have any answers. So we'll see. I'll probably just stumble into something I usually do.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's exciting.
Sometimes you got to just trust that the universe has a plan, and even if you don't.
There is part of that too. There is part of that trusting and kind of throwing yourself. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. As I'm getting older, mortality and seeing the way people shift their lives around and what they decide to do or not do or be activated or not. It's just such a personal place to be. This planet, is personal, your own personal experience and how you affect others. And some people don't really care how they affect others. They just like make a bag of bullshit wherever they go, and they expect everybody else to clean it up, or they don't even care. I don't know. I guess you got me in the same mood as that now. I don't know what to fucking do. No, I'm gonna. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna paint. I'm gonna make that movie. And
That's what I was going to say. You got to make the Stephen Caven because I want to see this movie. Please make it. You have to see this one through. It's so good.
Thanks.
And I love your art.
I'm gonna try. It's amazing. I get a budget or something. I'm gonna maybe put an Indiegogo together.
Yeah, do it.
And I'm starting to put my maybe I'll do it. I think it's a little crass, but it's actually unavoidable. Is put my QR code up in here and say if anybody wants to donate money. It can't hurt. So I did that on the last.
You could even do is Kickstarter still a thing? You could do that, like with some small art things.
I think Indiegogo is a better thing because you can keep all the money if you don't make your goal.
Yeah, you should absolutely do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on that next because I got the 3 trailers, and I got to go back up to the ranch and grab my artwork, and probably within a month from now, between here and October, before it gets too snowy up there. But yeah, I want to do it. We'll do more. We'll maybe combine those trailers together. We'll see if we can get Claude. Maybe we'll be able to afford Claude. If he might have that gig in Vancouver. Actually, he might. Did you know about that? He got I helped him read an audition, and he's waiting to hear back from. But it's like his like 8th audition for these
Amazing.
playing a bad guy in a mountain.
That's shocking.
But I mean, where do you want? Is there anything you want to talk about that we possibly haven't talked about, or do you want to just go on with the rest of your day as if we're living in paradise and like we are living in the world is a great place. It's just, I guess, the frustrating thing is the the divide between the people that have ideas and the people that are actually able to get them made, and people,
Yeah.
People who don't have ideas, who have I don't know, it's such a quandary, it's such a paradox, this life that we
It
live.
can be a little frustrating at times, but it is, yeah, I don't know. It's all a journey. I get such a kick out of people like you, honestly, and I'm not buttering you up because I have no reason to, but yeah, I find it incredibly inspiring. I find it really energizing to be around people who have made different choices than the standard safe choices, and they're not easy choices. Like, it's not easy to be a fucking artist, but the world is better for having your energy in it. That's the truth. And so that inspires me. And I think there's so many amazing stories out there that I think I just want to hit the road and like talk to people. There's so many.
That's what I was just thinking, is because I'm not around like-minded people. That whole thing, not to bring it back to Burning Man, but the whole point of me going there was I needed to be around some artists, some creative artists.
Yeah.
And I was at the ranch, but I'm back here.
We all want to be in that artist commune and like get that full time. Like, that's kind of the dream, right? Like, I want to have a community of artists around me that's like, just like, let's just feed off each other's collective energy and build something magical. Like,
yeah, there's a
I would
pocket
love
of
that.
time. There's a pocket of time. You got a pocket of time. Like when I left the ranch to go to Burning Man, there was that pocket of time. The timing is right. 3.5 weeks. That's good. You don't want to overstay and get you a re-stimulus on the road. Even like interviewing Terry Olson for that last one podcast. That was done on the cuff in a moment. I couldn't have predicted that would happen. But he had so much to say. I was like, "Can I turn a camera on you? I have a podcast." And he went bananas. He was like no other person I've ever met. Anybody he was telling me to fuck you. He's all fuck you. That's all you, meaning me, not me, but people. There's no people. I was like, okay, just really clarify, like, but like he is such an interesting character living in, managing that hotel, and how his view is everybody has something to say. And
Yep.
Getting to my car, since I got back, I did fix my car. I did, which is a big deal. And I kind of got my shit together and organized, but going back on the road might be just what the doctor ordered. Interviewing people, doing, selling art. I don't know what else to do. I really don't. Because
Sounds like a good plan,
making
though.
a movie. I mean,
Make the movie.
I'm doing all this with zero money.
Yeah, I know.
I need to get a budget. So I'll put the QR code at the end of this video, and if you guys want to donate to some of my projects and the podcast, let me know. It's a Venmo thing right there.
Doing my best hand model thing for you. QR code right.
Oh man, put it right there over in her spot. What else do we do? I guess what's your self-care maintenance like? What's your self-love? What's your love language? Like, how do you keep your shit together?
So my love language is actually cooking. I learned that about myself, which is an unfortunate love language for me because I'm a shitty cook and I'm vegan, but like maybe that's why I'm single then. I don't know. That's the love language.
You're single probably because you're smart, because I know so many people in relationships. I know people in happy relationships, but I mean, apparently you didn't have children either.
Nah. No, but I'm like,
me either. I don't want children. I was born to have children. I love kids. I taught kids in after-school programs. Me and kids get along great. But
I can see that.
I'm glad that other people are to do the job. But I mean,
You get to be the crazy uncle and come in and like they'll have
I
fun
don't even.
with you.
None of my family has kids except for my sister who lives in Nashville and her daughters. They like the people that do have kids have lots of kids.
Yeah,
Do you are you an auntie or
I
are you
am.
interrogate
I am.
little kid you could talk to every once in a while?
Well, they're not little kids anymore. My brother has two kids. The oldest one just went off to college, that's a mind fuck because the dude was just born and now he's like, uh
Now he's eating turtle eggs in Costa Rica.
now he's a good kid. And then the other one is 15 and he's like way bigger than me, which is totally unfair because I've been growing way longer than him. It's so not fair. But that's an interesting one when you do have kids in your family though, is it's like this kid. And again, I've been like out of the country for like 7 years or 8 years or whatever, and I come back, and so they grow a lot, and it's neat whenever I see him because it's like this kid reminds me so much of me, not so much even my brother or his wife, you know what I mean? And so like just weird personality wise, and I mean that in the most loving way, but it's like makes you wonder how much of like who we are is like physical brain chemistry, you know what I mean? Because I think my personality is me, but I'm like then I meet this kid and I'm like, am I sure this is not my child? I'm pretty sure I didn't have a child. So, like, but it's very much like me. So it's
You
weird.
remember if you had a child?
You would remember. I think
Yeah.
you would. So
Um,
no, definitely not mine. But yeah, no, it's interesting. I don't know.
think there is a DNA logic to this, and I'm no scientist, for God's sakes, but there is like as I've gotten older, besides looking more and more like my father, there are attributes that you just cannot run away from. That you are them.
Product of your own
Some sort of
biology.
split part of them that made this like this thing. I mean, I tried to deny it for years, but I mean, I can't deny that I look and have mannerisms, and I didn't even grow up with them. I grew up with a stepfather.
Mm.
There is a DNA complex there. It's just like the turtles going back to that migration that they'd never even been to before. They can't help it. It's just who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So other element of my love language is I got to take my puppy out. We got to go for an adventure, go out into the parks for a bit and explore nature, chase some rabbits, chase some squirrels.
do you go hunting, squirrel hunting with your dog?
I do, and it's the funniest. No, but we don't actually. Oh, she's on leash, first of all. But she's like, we never talked about that. She's like this, like I literally found her as an abandoned puppy when I was living in Mexico. And so she's like a little bit everything, right? And I did a DNA test on her when we got back to Canada, and she's like pit bull, Rottweiler, Shepherd, Weimaraner, which is apparently like a hunting dog, and then like and super mutt, like a mix of everything. But it's so funny because she goes full hunting dog when she sees an animal. And this, like, we have bunnies living in our yard, so it's like we'll go out at night and like she'll see the bunny who's always in the same spot, and she's instantly like slow, slow, and it's the funniest freaking thing to watch her hunt. And of course, when it moves, she'll chase. She won't hurt it, and I won't let her hurt it, but she can't help it. Like if it runs, she's going to chase it. Again, that's just who she is. That's in her DNA. So it's pretty funny. I grew some giant sunflowers this summer, and now they've all gone to seed. And so the squirrels are getting really, really bold with their moves because they want these seeds so bad. And so they're climbing these like really like, questionable sunflowers. And I let the dog out and just to watch them go flying. And it's good fun. Maybe not for the squirrel, but anyways, they get some seeds out of it. So everybody wins.
Yeah, yeah, it is. The thing that's funny about life to me, and I can't keep on. It's almost like a Dali painting where you see that tiger eating another tiger coming out to a fish or something like that. Everything's always eating something or something. It's going to be ingested or overwhelmed, and also like metaphorically as well. Trying to take one over. Scam a ticket on somebody. There's always this relationship that between two things or these things that this activity on this planet is kind of wild because it's got so many different things at eating each other. And so when something dies or gets eaten, we get sad. It's like, oh, that's gross, oh my god. Or even the a painful, God forbid, a murder. Knock on wood that never happens to anybody that I know or been to it. There's this. I mean, is it this? Do you feel like we're living in a simulation at all? Doesn't it feel like we're seeing our lives through
It does feel
a
that way, doesn't it?
person walking around that we are like in its body?
But if that's the case, then is that not somewhat inspiring? Because it's like, just, what do you got to lose? This is just a simulation. Go chase that dream, go whatever it is, not in an antisocial way. I mean, like in a glorious way. Like, I don't know anything about anything, Brett. Like, I don't know. How could I possibly know if we're in a simulation or not? I don't know.
Do you ever do you remember your dreams at all?
Sometimes.
Do you remember your dreams last night?
No. Do you?
Yeah. Yeah, my dreams were last night was very, very chaotic. It's like I'm not gonna try to describe my dreams because they will, if they haven't shut off, they will definitely shut off at that point because it's always so personal, but the visuals and the chaos of it was so like, I don't know, man. I might think that there's something to, I mean, multiple dimensional realities, this form, this place. I mean, when we die, will we remember what we just happened? Or I think the fun is in the doing. When people are doing a project, like when you're with Sea Shepherd or getting the turtles or whatever, that the actual activity of that is what is the excitement of the moment. Like creating a painting from scratch, that moment is the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the after you looking at your. I don't know. It's weird, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
something's going on here. um, something in this reality is going on. Something happening. Do you believe in extraterrestrials?
Yes.
Non-human entities living outside this planet?
Yes. I think it would be absurdly myopic to think that in a essentially infinite universe, there's only one tiny spot where conditions combine into just the perfect set. But I don't necessarily think they'd be green aliens. I don't even know that we'd be able to communicate with them. Like, again, we only know what we can conceptualize. Like, life could be beyond anything we can even comprehend. We may not even know it if we saw it. There's no reason to think it's going to have hands and feet or even be visible to us, right? But yes, absolutely, of course. What about you?
Yeah, I've had some extraterrestrial experiences and stuff like that, like out of
Yeah, you
body.
seen some aliens?
Yeah, I mean, I saw one in this waking life. I no, as a dream state, but I did see a UFO. I've had a couple different UFO encounters in this reality. But as far as aliens, Dogon tribe, I've had some communications with them, or it was just a really realistic dream. The thing about this Dogon tribe thing, I don't know if anybody ever wants to Google it or whatever. They're very tall, black, very dark-skinned humanoids, and I had a dream of them, which was a reoccurring dream. I had deja vu within that dream, and I've explained the Rick Overton podcast, but I had these entities, these dogs come up, and they're very blubbery and very foldy, almost like a Shar-Pei, but like on acid. Their skin and their eyes were like sort of turned inward like that. It's kind of hard to describe. But I had a conversation with the Dogon, there's 3 Dogon people there, and dressed up in braids and really, really. This is like in 1994 or 97 actually, 1998 actually. And I was talking about my Return to Sender film and if I was getting a Feruza bulk in it, and they said they laughed and said no. But then he had this thing they did with this yellow plasma stuff through his hand, and it made like what would be like look like branches of a tree, or even what the Marvel Universe put as that string, whatever is a string theory or something. There's strings and stuff like that. But I didn't know about the Dogon tribe before that dream, so I'd never heard about them or read about them before that. so I didn't have any prior conception of
So
them.
how did you learn the name then? Did they tell you that in the dream or?
No, I talked to my friend who's a psychic, Bridget
Oh,
Montgomery,
okay.
on Venice Beach, and I described the dream that I had to them. She goes, "Oh, that's Dogon tribe," and so
Okay.
she said, and then I did further research, and they're supposed to help with the ascension for the Mayans and the Egyptians and stuff like that. But I definitely there's something. This is when I guess the thing with people not, being in trouble. I mean, we could go back in time to the Roman days, and I'm sure they were saying this place is this place has gone to shit. And back, I'm sure the same complaints have been happening in eras after eras. The Egyptians were probably going, "Whoa, this rock is way not square enough. This is a problem," or there's whatever reality you live in. I'm sure there's gonna be some sort of toil and trouble or not perfect. But we're living in this reality. As long as I breathe, I will be alive in this reality. But when I'm done, then maybe that won't be the case anymore.
We have no way of
I'm
knowing
just
that.
I'm just gonna kill myself. No, just no. It is funny. Life is funny, and people are funny. And do you? How do you avoid drama in your life? And we're gonna go soon. Trust me, we're gonna go soon. I'm just having such a good time.
I avoid people.
You avoid people.
Yeah. That eliminates
But you're
98%
good.
of
But
the problem.
you're so good with people, though.
Well, yes.
It takes a toll.
No, no, it doesn't. But you
This,
know what? Know what I am? I'm selective, and it's like I don't have all the answers to anything. But like, I just, um, yeah, I don't know. I I don't cause drama, but I also don't really have much tolerance for it. I think it's important to set up like healthy boundaries and also just to kind of, you know, value yourself enough to be selective about the people that you welcome into your life to the extent that you can.
are you close with your family?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, family. That's another thing. Family. I'm close with my family, but I mean, I feel so. I guess you're always gonna feel alone in life, aren't you? Because we die alone, we're born alone. It's our own trip, but we get out of it.
But I think that the connections that we like the real connections that we make with other people along this journey is that not that's the color to life. That's everything, you know, the magic that happens along the way. This isn't meant to be a solitary journey. You can do it alone, but sure is a lot more fun when,
Yeah, it
you
is.
know.
You can. It's better. Was that thing that they say? It's better to be alone with yourself instead of alone with somebody else.
I think it's important to be able, yes, that's actually, yeah, well, caught the second part of that, but I think it's important to be able to be alone with yourself and comfortable with yourself. I think again in a society that's sort of counting on like pulling people's attention in all directions, da 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 da, you know, it's like that distraction is it's a nice escape. And I think being able and comfortable to be alone is important. It's really important for introspection, reflection, creativity. But we're not meant to do it all alone. Like have a little fun, find your people, go off, do stupid shit.
Yeah. Well, let's end it on that note. Unless you got something else to do, because I talk all day. I don't have anything else going on. It's
Yeah, no, I should
100
get going,
degrees.
but it's been lovely chatting with you, Brett.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast, and
Anytime, anytime.
I've gotten to know you a lot better than I've known you ever. So this is great. Ah, I'm
I'm
inspired.
glad to see you're alive, so that's good.
Yes, me too. I'm glad to be alive as well. But let this podcast act as my legacy for when I'm no longer around. Maybe this will count for something. I was there. I was here. I was actually here. And
You're more than here. You're epic, and you're so talented. And I love that you do what you do, and you're a bright light. So keep at it.
thanks, I will. And you too. I mean, all the work that you've done for the turtles. I mean, hope you continue your work in some capacity, because it seems like you got like a template in your already from all the experience that you have to get some really positive stuff going, you know? I know you probably have to decompress from all those. I mean, it can't be easy saving turtles in the middle of the night when narcos around. And
It was the best fucking time. It was the best fucking time.
oh yeah, well, save the turtles. Let's save more turtles. Do you like, what do you think's I want to ask you one last question. Like, what do you think the next 5 years? And this is if we have a crystal ball, I know that's a big deal or to ask, but like, do you see any great leaps in humanity coming from either like new sources of energy through meteor excavation or planetary travel or something inside the oceans? Are you seeing anything like a shift like we haven't been experienced like since like 2008, or a paradigm shift? Are you seeing any sort of pattern of anything at all?
I feel like everything we're already experiencing is being exasperated because you know that we're moving towards this inevitable like point of no return environmentally and everything. And I think people's stress and tensions and all of this stuff, we can all feel that something's building, right? And I think that for better or worse, what it means to be human, we're seeing that much more dramatically now, to the point that it's almost comical at times. But I can tell you from my lens, you can definitely see that there is a strong movement to oppress women happening in a lot of capacities. And that's terrifying as a woman.
Can I just ask you to, can you give me some examples? And I'm just,
well, you know, reproductive rights and just, you know, like things like that. And the battles that our grandmothers fought are not necessarily locked in and secure for the daughters of people my age, you know what I mean? And you realize that this is the things we take for granted, having been born in a peaceful time and with a certain degree of autonomy. The fact that people actually had to fight for this has become, it's become real. You realize that everything, nothing is guaranteed, you know, and that one has to keep fighting and keep pushing to even maintain some degree of freedom. And so you see some movements towards these like traditional, what a horrible thing to say, but you know what I mean, ways of life that are not necessarily optimal for people who don't have a penis. And then at the same time, I meet so many incredible women who are doing such badass shit. You can understand why they'd want to oppress us, because when women lose the programming that we're supposed to be fighting with each other, we're supposed to be competing, we're supposed to be breeding, whatever the fuck, when we lose that shit and actually come together, well, now you're talking a real fucking powerhouse, because women are amazingly powerful and they're right to be afraid. And I can understand why they are trying to oppress that. So I guess in the next 5 years, it'll be interesting to see the balance between that. Either we're going to do something great, sisterhood, or we're all going to be dead. Could go either way, but you know, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Sinead O'Connor was in one of her songs is patriarchy needs it's matriarchy that needs to be done, not patriarchy. And you know, as far as Kamala Harris is concerned, I'm fully behind her, like, because she's talking about exactly what you just described about you know, women having their fucking choice to do whatever the fuck they want with their bodies. That's a no-brainer. And for someone to come along and say no to that, no. I mean, what are we fucking doing here? Everybody, you know, and woman, the power of women blow guys away. You know, it's I could just see if.
But it's the power of all of us. Like, I love men.
It's the power of all of us, yes.
I adore men. And it's like, it's just giving everybody a seat at the table, because when you keep selecting the same guy, he might have a slightly different face, he might have a slightly different backstory, but just in terms of like, like it's basically the same guy every time, and put that guy in power, be surprised that they make the same choices. You know what I mean? Like, I think we need different energy, and I'm talking about like diversity, but I don't necessarily mean it in the like we need to have all races, all genders, all whatever. That helps. That definitely helps, because we're all coming at things through a different lens, but we just need people who think differently, and that includes artists, that includes the creators, the believers, the seers, the doers, like to come up with different solutions, because the things we've been doing since the beginning of time are frankly quite boring, and they're not working. We're not looking.
Yeah, those things got us to here, but those things are going to not necessarily be the things that advance us towards where we need to build on that.
Yeah.
And
I also really believe in the kids. I really believe in youth, and it's their future. And like kids need to have a stable home, a stable future to grow up in, and they also have to have the ability to grow and come up with these radically creative ideas. We're all like, we're all victims of our own programming. We come up with creativity, but it's based on our experiences and our DNA and whatever. And it's like, I really believe in empowering women, if for no other reason, but there are so many other reasons. But one of the things that I'm talking about when I was traveling the world and stuff, is just giving women a voice so that they can raise these children, so that these children can actually have a seat at the table as well too. Because right now, a lot of people don't have that opportunity to come forward and, be part of something that affects all of us, because they're just not born into the right set of circumstances. So yeah, I don't know. Just been talking for too long. I'm just rambling now. So I'm going to let you go.
What do you think about Gaza? Just kidding. Okay, let's not go there. We'll end it on a pleasant note. Woman power, people power.
People power, darling.
Earth power.
Turtle power.
Galactic power. Federation UFO power. Marijuana power. Mushroom power. All of it. Peyote. Okay, well, so I'll see you. I guess I'll see you at Gerlach next time I see you.
See you when I see you. Be safe out there.
I'll see you at Burning Man next year. It was better anyways.
Next year was way better.
Do you even want to tell people how to get a hold of you or find you on socials at all? Nah. Okay, good. Me either. I'm Brett Woods. There's Tamara. Vervichich. No. Oh God, I shouldn't have said it again.
Perfect. That was perfect.
Was it perfect? Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, Brett.
That was fun, right? Nobody got hurt.
That was fun.
All right, I'll let you go. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right. So BrettWoods.com. Subscribe. BrettWoods22 on TikTok and Instagram. If people aren't doing those anymore, I don't know what. That was fun. Tamara was great. Tamara. And check out my I'm making Staven Caven. Welcome to Staven Caven. I put a little QR code maybe here or at the end. I'm not sure, but right here, if you want to donate to this podcast and to that production, I'm all available for donations. Buy my artwork. Be nice to each other out there. And let's talk soon. Am I missing anything? Oh, thanks for watching.
Friends with friends. Friends with friends.
And now, it is time to say goodbye. And that's the way, I like it.